long time ago, I toured the 3 dead malls of Indianapolis. This time, we're going to go take a look at the live malls of Indianapolis. And to start, we're going to go for a walk at the Castleton Square Mall, the successful DeBartolo of Indianapolis. If you're familiar with the name Edward J. DeBartolo, you'll probably know that his firm had 3 shopping malls in the Indianapolis region: Lafayette Square Mall, Castleton Square Mall, and Washington Square Mall, all built in that order, with Castleton Square Mall being built in 1972. However, the Castleton Square Mall was actually a collaborative effort between Homart and Eddie DeBartolo, and this would see Sears as an original anchor alongside JCPenney and Lazarus. Woolworth and Kroger would also set up as junior anchors. The mayor of Indianapolis at the time, Richard Lugar, would host a ribbon-cutting ceremony on September 13, 1972, heralding the mall's opening. Patrons would behold a 20-foot wide fountain with chandeliers in the center court, with multiple planters full of tropical plants, as well as benches upon the mall's terrazzo flooring. While the anchor lineup was set, only Sears would be open for business in 1972, along with a handful of stores. JCPenney would show up in January 1973, Woolworth in March that year, and Lazarus would open their doors in August that same year. Lazarus would have its own opening ceremonies hosted by the chain's president at the time, William P. Giovanello. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. My hatred of that meme is why I'll never connect with Gen Z. Many things happened over the years, with the General Cinemas expanding its presence at the mall in 1976, while Kroger would leave the mall in '79 to open a larger freestanding store on 82nd Street. Woolworth would close its doors in 1982 as it failed to meet performance standards in the chain, though the space would see seasonal use by automotive dealers as a showroom. While closures like that aren't a great thing, Eddie DeBartolo's firm would announce plans to overhaul the mall's image in 1983. This would remove the fountain and replace it with a performance stage and bring in new benches, new lighting, and raised ceilings in the department stores. Meanwhile, Kohl's would open in the place of Woolworth, and during all of this, the mall would host a 10th year anniversary, bringing the circus into the mall for a while. Good to know I'm not the only clown here. There's going to be a lot to keep up with in a moment. As the 90s came in, LS Ayres would open its doors at the start of the decade, August 1990, hoping to draw customers from Anderson and Muncie. And 2 months later, Montgomery Ward would open its doors near JCPenney, and Best Buy would open its doors as an outparcel near the mall in October 1992, and then in 1996, DeBartolo's firm would merge with Simon Property Group, and as of the making of this video, Simon still owns the mall. Though Simon would have a lot of anchor changes to keep up with, as Kohl's would leave in 1997 for a newer store. The vacancy would be demolished entirely and replaced with a food court and a Gayland sporting goods center. This would also bring renovations to the mall, updating mall entrances, skylights, and improved landscaping. But then a plague would descend upon the mall during that update: kiosks. I exaggerate, but to be blunt, I really don't like kiosks between aggressive cosmetics booth and paranoid vendors selling dubious jewelry. I'll try to avoid going further on that tangent. As 1998 progressed, Von Maur would open in the Montgomery Ward's place, whom closed earlier on. When, I am unsure. And in 1998, Gaylands would open its doors, with the year being bookended by the food court featuring a children's play area and 15 restaurants. It's quite a lot happening, huh? Now is a good time to remind people that this is not a dead mall. Although if I wanted to be a dick, I could certainly manipulate all of you with this single shot right here. This mall had no brakes as it came into the 2000s, and the retail corridor around the mall was expanding with Costco opening to the north of the mall in 2002. Meanwhile, Federated Department Stores would rebrand all Lazarus stores into Lazarus Macy's in an attempt to expand the Macy's nameplate nationwide, a foreshadowing of the Great Merger. Later that year, Gaylands would expand their location at the mall, bringing in a second floor, but in 2004, the store would be sold to Dick's Sporting Goods. Despite having a freestanding store for less than a year nearby, Dick's opted to close that store and double down on their presence at the mall. Meanwhile, what happened to LS Ayers? Well, Federated Department Stores got a hold of the May Department Stores Company, whom owned LS Ayers at the time, and in 2006 would merge all their nameplates into Macy's. Federated would then opt to close the LS Ayers location in 2006, retaining the Lazarus Macy's pad. LS Ayers would then be demolished to make way for a new outdoor concourse, which would bring in Borders Books and Music, AMC Theaters, Johnny Rockets, and H&M, among other names. When Borders closed in 2011, Forever 21 would open in its place, reconfiguring the pad to their needs. In the big picture, Castleton Square Mall's only real hurdle at the time was Sears, whom would close alongside 62 other stores in September 2018, starting liquidation sales in June that year. But Macy's was expanding its presence under the company's Growth 50 campaign, bringing in new shopping options as well as a needed renovation. And that's just about where the timeline ends for now. That empty Sears does need to be addressed, but Castleton Square Mall was, and still is, referred to as the biggest mall in Indiana, boasting 130 stores to its name. I think it's safe to say that Castleton Square Mall is here to stay. There is, however, one stain we do need to talk about. In February 2023, a dispute had broken out between an 18-year-old man with his brother and 3 other strangers. One thing led to another, and the man had grabbed his brother's firearm and opened fire on the other 3. The 3 ended up returning fire and had injured the man in his thigh. The 18-year-old man was treated for his injury and then later arrested for criminal recklessness. The 3 men would then end up fleeing the scene, leaving their vehicle, a Jeep SUV, behind. This incident would come after other firearm-related incidents in the parking lot, as well as a high-profile tragedy at the Greenwood Park Mall that was thankfully cut off quickly. I have some strong things to say about that incident, but that's a story for Greenwood Park Mall, which I may or may not do a video on later down the line, in true poor timing fashion. In the big picture, Indianapolis itself is struggling with crime, with total crime reaching 77% above the national average. That's a stain on a city that otherwise looks pretty good on paper. I'm hoping they can at least get that problem fixed. But there is no easy answer to crime, unfortunately. Until next time, Indianapolis, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Castleton Square Mall farewell and good luck in the future. I ran out of time. So for those of you wondering what I think about Castleton Square Mall, it's fine. It works.